The alien ship Zarnik's Claw floated near a dead human vessel. The human ship had no lights, no power, no signs of life. It was just ... drifting. Cold. Silent Captain Varric, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes, stared at the ghost ship. "From the bridge it's been floating for 80 cycles," said his second-in-command, Rillen. "Still no signal, no heat. But it's human." Varric frowned. "Humans disappeared years ago. Crushed their last fleet. So why is this ship here now?" No one had an answer. The ship's name blinked faintly on the side. HSS Vindicator. Varric gave the order. "Prepare a team. We go inside." The boarding team entered through a damaged airlock. Their boots clanked on cold metal. Flashlights moved over scorched walls and empty halls. Everything was dead. There were no bodies. "Strange," said Rylan. Checking a scanner, there was a battle. Blaster burns, collapsed beams. But where are the crew? A small maintenance robot lay on the floor, dead, melted. "No energy readings," whispered another alien nervously. "Not even emergency power?" The deeper they went, the colder it felt. It's not just physically, but wrong, like the ship didn't want them there. They reached the bridge. Everything was burned. The screens were shattered. The command chair was empty. Suddenly she a sound, soft, like a breath. All the aliens froze. "Did you hear that?" whispered Rillen. "Yes," said Varric. "Someone is breathing." They followed the sound down a dark corridor. The breathing grew louder, slow, steady, unnatural. It echoed through the walls. They reached a sealed chamber. Heavy steel door stood between them and the sound. It had a human handprint scanner. "No power," said Rillen. "We'll need to cut through." As they prepared tools, the lights above flickered, then turned on. None of them touched anything. The door slowly opened by itself. Behind it was a small room with a single pod. Inside the pod was a human. He looked young, maybe 30, pale skin, black hair, eyes closed. But his chest was rising and falling. "He's breathing," whispered one alien. "But there's no air in that pod." "There's no power in this ship," Rylan shouted. "How is he alive?" Brock asked. Before anyone could answer, one of the aliens, a brave warrior, stepped forward. "I'll open the pod." "We'll take him in." Varric hesitated. "Be careful." Zarn touched the pod. In less than 1 second, he collapsed to the floor. No scream. No sign of pain, just dead. The others stepped back in fear. "What just happened?" Relin shouted. "He's still breathing," said Varric, eyes wide. "He didn't even move, but Zarn is dead." They backed away from the pod. The lights flickered again. All doors in the hallway shut by themselves. "We need to leave," said Rillen. "Now," the ship answered. Boom. A distant explosion rocked the hallway. The walls vibrated. Then the engines came online. The human ship, dead for decades, was waking up. "Get us out," Varric shouted. They ran back the way they came, but the path was changing. Doors that were open were now locked. Halls that were straight now turned wrong. The ship was rebuilding itself. "This ship is alive," Rillen whispered. "It's responding to him." Behind them, they heard a hiss. The pod was opening. No one dared look back. Back on the alien command. "Ship!" The bridge team watched in shock. "Sir," said the pilot. "The human ship is powering up. Engines online. Weapons offline. But the scanners are reading a single life form." "One human," whispered Varric over the com. "That's all it took. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He just breath-tanned. One of us died." Long silence followed. "Bring the team back," ordered the Admiral from HQ. Varric replied quietly, "We can't. The ship has sealed itself. The human has woken up." Ah! The pod opened with a soft hiss. A light mist poured out as the human inside slowly opened his eyes. His pupils glowed faint blue, like small stars. He sat up calm, silent, breathing slowly. The alien crew watched. From behind a force field they had set up just in time, none of them spoke. None dared move. Captain Varric gripped his blaster. Don't fire unless I say so. The human stood, looked around, and stepped out of the pod barefoot. He didn't seem afraid. He didn't look confused. He looked focused. He doesn't have a suit, whispered Rillin. No oxygen, no pressure. He should be dead. He's not even cold, said another crew member. The human looked straight at the force field and smiled. Suddenly, all lights flickered. The hallway behind him twisted. Walls shifted like liquid. The ship was changing again. He's doing that, said Varric. The ship obeys him. The human raised one hand. The force field dropped. Fall back, Varric ordered. They ran down the hallway, locking every door behind them, but no door stayed locked. Back on the alien command ship, Admiral Kor watched the live feed. He was old, battle-hardened, and had fought humans during the Great War. Is this some kind of weapon? He asked. Unknown, said the science officer. But he's not using tech. He's using the ship itself. The human isn't connected to controls, the officer continued. But every time he breathes, energy pulses through the walls. Kor frowned. That's not a man, that's a trigger. Inside the human ship, the alien team had taken shelter in the engine room. One of them, a younger soldier named Drez, tried to contact the command ship. No signal, he said. It's like we're cut off. The air around them felt thicker. The walls seemed closer. Rilan put a hand to his head. I feel something like voices. Whispers, said another. But they're not in the air. They're in my mind. Suddenly, the human's voice came over the intercom. Not loud, not angry. It's just a calm whisper. You shouldn't have. Come! Everyone froze. Ryland's eyes widened. How is he in our minds? He's psychic, Varric said. Like the old reports said. The human black ops, they built soldiers like this. Then came another whisper. I remember you. Ryland screamed and dropped to his knees. Blood dripped from his nose. Clutched his head and cried. What? Did you see? Varric asked, holding him. Ryland gasped. I saw Earth, burning. I saw us killing children, bombing cities. He remembers everything. Suddenly, the door behind them opened. The humans stood there, calm, still breathing, but the room's gravity failed. Everyone floated into the air. Varric pointed his blaster. Stop right there. The human didn't flinch. He spoke again. This. Time allowed, I am Subject 13. The blaster fired. The plasma bolt hit the human in the chest, then vanished into sparks. No wound, no mark. I am not here to kill you, the human said. Then what do you want? Varric asked. The human looked. Straight into his soul. Balance. Meanwhile, on the alien bridge, alarms blared. Sir, the pilot shouted. The human ship's engines just activated fully. It's moving toward us. Fire now. Admiral Kor shouted. A dozen plasma cannons fired. The blasts hit the human ship. Nothing happened. The plasma beams bent like the ship didn't want to be touched. Impossible, the weapons officer gasped. The laws of physics, they don't apply to him, the admiral whispered. Back inside the ship, the human walked past the floating aliens. He didn't touch them. He just walked. And the systems followed him. Lights turned on. Panels opened. Doors obeyed. He reached the central core. His hand touched the control panel and it glowed blue. Suddenly, the ship spoke in an old human voice. Welcome back, Artine. The alien team watched in horror. Varric finally spoke. What? Are you? The human turned around, expression calm. I am the last breath of humanity. Subject 13 stood in front of the ship's glowing. His breathing was slow, calm, controlled, yet every breath seemed to carry watrial weight. The alien team floated near. The engine room ceiling, gravity was still off. Their eyes never left the human. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He just walked. And as he walked, the walls of the human ship changed. Smooth metal became darker, stronger. Old wires pulled themselves into place. Lights followed him, glowing soft blue dot. Captain. Varric whispered, he's waking up the entire ship. Not just the ship, said Rillin, eyes wide, waking up something else. On the alien command ship. Admiral Kor stared at the screen. Subject 13 now moved through corridors like he had done it 1,000 times. Like he belonged. There. Try again, Kor said. Hack into their system. The science officer worked fast, typing commands. No access, sir. The ship's firewall is rebuilding faster than I can break it. What's powering it? The officer shook his head. We think he is. Kor frowned. A man powering a warship, said the officer. A weapon disguised as a man. Subject 13 stepped into the medbay. Machines blinked awake, chairs unfolded. Scanners turned toward him, but the human didn't stop. He walked past everything until he stood before a sealed container. Inside was a black cube. He placed his hand on it. The cube lit up. The ship's voice returned. Memory core. Unlocked. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A projection appeared in the Era battlefield. Aliens burning human cities. Children screaming. Earth shattering. The alien crew screamed. The memory was being forced into their minds. Rylan clutched his head. Again, make it stop, Subject 13 whispered. You must remember what you did. Captain Varric tried to shoot. Again, nothing worked. The blaster melted in his hand. The human turned slowly and looked at him. You fear what you don't understand, he said. I fear monsters, Varric growled. No, Subject 13 said. You fear justice. Ship's gravity returned. The aliens crashed to the floor. Subject-13 didn't move. He didn't have to. Back on the alien command ship, alarms rang, sir, shouted the weapons officer. Our own systems are going crazy. Its engines rebooting, shields flickering. Something is hacking us? How? Admiral Kor shouted. There's no connection. The officer looked up, terrified. It's not digital, sir. It's psychic. The human is inside the code without touching anything. It's rewriting. Us. In space? The Vindicator turned slowly toward the alien fleet. Its weapons were still offline, but every ship in the fleet began to power down. On their own, Subject 13 didn't press a button. He didn't even look at them. He just breathed, and systems obeyed. Inside the ship, the alien crew tried to run, but doors wouldn't open. The walls moved, guiding them into a dark chamber. Subject-13 stood at the center. He looked different now. Taller, stronger, eyes brighter, more awake. I was built for one reason, he said softly. To end the war? No, he replied. To survive after the war. The walls of the chamber displayed more memories. Dead planets. Silent moons. Human voices begging. Betrayal. You ended us, he said. Now I end the silence. Captain Varric stepped forward, breathing hard. Then, kill us if that's what you came for. The human didn't move. I don't need to kill you, he said. Then why are you doing this? Subject 13 closed his eyes, because forgetting is worse than death. He turned his back, and the Vindicator's engines roared. The ship began to move again, heading straight for the alien homeworld on the command ship. Admiral Kor slammed his fist on the table. Destroy that ship. All weapons now. Plasma cannons charged. Missiles locked on. But before they could fire, the entire fleet's screens went black. A message appeared. I remember the alien fleet floated in silence. No lights, no controls. Every screen showed just 2 words. I remember us. On the bridge of the command ship, Admiral Kor stood frozen. All ships, he shouted. Manual systems. Override the lock. The crew scrambled. Nothing worked. He's inside everything, the science officer whispered. He's not just in that ship anymore. He's in awe of ours. How? Kor growled. He breathed. The officer said, trembling. And something entered our systems. Something not human. Not machine. Something ... in between. Beside the Vindicator, Subject 13 stood at the main console. His hand rested lightly on the controls, but he wasn't touching them. The ship obeyed without a word. Behind him, the remaining alien boarding crew sat trapped in a sealed chamber. They couldn't move. They couldn't even speak. Subject 13 had shut off their voices. He had said nothing for an hour, just breathed. And every time he did, our systems activated, defense grids, sensor arrays, deep archive memories. The ship was no longer a ruin, it was a weapon again. On the command ship, strange things began to happen. One officer started laughing. "He's just one man. One man." His voice cracked, kept laughing until he fell to the ground, shaking. Another officer clutched her head. "I hear crying, children, human children." Admiral Core looked around in shock. "What is this?" Ship's lights dimmed. A new sound filled the room, a soft whisper, not in the air, in their minds. "Remember," Core stormed into the war room. "Run the fear protocol," he ordered. The generals paused. Fear protocol was a last resort mind shield used only against the strongest psychic attacks. "You want us to use it on one human?" asked a commander. "He's not a man," Core said. "He's something else. And he's inside our minds already." They activated the fear protocol. A loud hum filled the ship. Purple fields of energy surrounded their brains, shielding thoughts. For a moment, the whispers stopped. Then Subject 13 spoke directly to KORR. No speaker, no comms, just voice. "Shields are clever," he said, "but fear does not come from me. It comes from what you did," Core screamed. He saw Earth, bright and blue, then burning. He saw alien ships firing on hospitals. He saw children with human eyes turning to ash. He saw his own hand pressing the fire button. "Stop it," Core shouted. "Stop." Then it ended. The fear shield cracked. Blood dripped from Core's nose, inside the Vindicator. Subject 13 stood still, breathing quietly. The ship's walls pulsed with his heartbeat. Suddenly a drone appeared before him. It floated silently, showing a live image from the alien homeworld, beautiful cities, towers of light. Peaceful people. He watched for a long time. Then he whispered, "I see you now." The alien crew, still trapped inside the ship, felt the pressure rise. They couldn't move. Then, Relon felt something new. Not pain, not fear, regret. He remembered a village on Mars. Human farmers. His squad had destroyed it during the war. He had followed orders, but now he felt every scream again. He looked up. "He's not just punishing us." "What?" Varric asked. "He's sharing what we did," Rillan whispered, "making us feel it, making us understand." Varric looked pale. "That's worse than death." The command ship's lights went out. Completely. Only Core remained standing. Everyone else was on the floor crying, shaking, or unconscious. The bridge opened a connection. Subject 13's face appeared, still calm, still silent. Then he spoke. "You killed Earth, but Earth never forgot. You can end this now," Core said, voice shaking. "What do you want?" Subject 13 replied. "Memory, justice, balance." Outside, the Vindicator powered its main engines. It was heading directly for the alien homeworld. Subject 13 stood at the front of the Vindicator as stars rushed past the view window. The ship was now moving at full speed, heading for the alien homeworld. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He only breathed. Every breath sent a soft pulse. Through the ship's walls, the lights moved with him. The metal responded like it was alive. Inside the sealed room, Captain Varric and the surviving alien crew sat in silence.
Ow.
No food, no water. But they were alive. They didn't try to escape. Anymore, they only watched in the command ship. Admiral Core gave his final order. "Send everything. All ships. Stop that human from reaching our planet." The officers hesitated. "He's unarmed," one said. "He walked through our best traps," another added. Core slammed the table. "He's not unarmed. He is the weapon." The fleet gathered near the planet. Over 100 ships, cannons ready. Missiles locked, the Vindicator arrived. Like a shadow. Its weapons were offline, its shields were off. But none of that mattered. The moment it entered range, half the fleet's systems began to fail. On board, Subject 13 stepped outside. No suit. Number. Air. He walked along the ship's surface. Barefoot, in the void of space, aliens, watching from their ships, stared in horror. He's outside. Why is he outside? One pilot asked. He'll die out there, another whispered. But he didn't. Subject 13 walked calmly, hand brushing along the metal, everywhere he touched. Lights shut off on nearby enemy ships. Then he stopped and breathed. Energy spread from him like a wave. No heat, no light, just force. 10 ships powered down instantly. Others spun out of control. On one ship, the captain pulled the trigger to fire. Nothing happened. Instead, a message appeared on their screen. You forgot. Us. Then, without warning, their own ship fired at themselves. Inside the Vindicator, Rillen watched through a window. He's not attacking them, he said. They're attacking themselves. How is that possible? Asked Varric. He's rewriting their systems, Rylan replied. Not with code, but with memory. In a hidden room deep within the ship, a black sphere pulsed with blue light. It was the memory core. The ship had unlocked it fully now. Subject-13 turned from space and entered the room. The sphere greeted him. Do you wish to activate total recall? He nodded once, confirming full war logs. Emotional imprint data. Final command. Suddenly, every alien in the fleet began to feel it. Not see. It's not hear. Feel. The screams of dying humans. The burning of cities. The silence of a dead Earth. It flooded their minds all at once. Admirals cried. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Pilots begged for forgiveness. But Subject 13 did not respond. He walked to the command deck, looked at the alien homeworld in the distance. So beautiful. Peaceful. Innocent, he whispered. They will remember even if I disappear. Back in the alien capital, alarms rang. Leaders ran to shelters, but it was too late. The ships guarding their skies shut down, their defense systems crashed, and above their world, the Vindicator stood still, not attacking, just watching. Inside the Vindicator, the alien prisoners received one final message. You feared what we might become, so you destroyed us. But fear creates monsters, and now you've met yours. Then, Subject 13 vanished. No light, no sound, just gone. Across the entire alien fleet, screens went black. Then one sentence appeared. I was not the last. The alien capital city stood silent. People stared at the sky. The Vindicator hovered above, unmoving. No lights, no weapons active, but no. One felt safe. Inside the alien council chamber, Supreme Leader Theron watched the live feed with shaking hands. Behind him, generals and advisors whispered in fear. He didn't fire, one said. He didn't need to, said another, but he made us feel what we did. Theron leaned forward. How can memory destroy fleets? No one answered. Inside, the Vindicator. The lights flickered gently. The ship was quiet, calm. Subject-13 was gone. But something remained. Captain Varric and the other trapped alien crew wandered the halls. The ship no longer blocked their path. It was letting them move. They entered a small room filled with old human items, photographs, journals, and one strange object, a child's toy, a small stuffed bear. Rillen picked it up, and then his mind was flooded. He saw Earth. Not during war, before. Children playing in green parks. Families laughing. Mothers holding babies. He saw cities that stretched into the clouds. Ships flying peacefully through blue skies. Music, art, hope. Then came the fire, the betrayal. Alien. Ships, his people firing first. He saw the humans surprised, not ready. He felt their panic, their confusion. Then he felt their rage. Rillen dropped the toy, breathing hard. Varric stepped forward. What did you see? Not a monster, Rillen said. I saw their soul. Everything they were. Everything we destroyed. Varric looked around the room. This ship is not just a weapon. It's a memory vault. They put everything Inside before they died, Rillen whispered. Their last truth. Back on the alien homeworld, panic spread. Ships refused to take off. Weapons shut down. Across the planet, screens blinked to life one by one. Images appeared. Humans, standing in the rain. Children building robots. Old men planting trees. Then war. Then silence. Then Multic-13. His voice echoed across the world. This is what you erased. But I remember, in the Vindicator's deep core, a hidden message began to play. It was a recording. An old human general spoke, his voice filled with sadness. If you are seeing this, Earth has fallen. Our cities are ash. Our children are gone. We built Subject 13 as a final message. Not to destroy, but to remind. We could have lived in peace, but they feared our rise. So we gave our last breath to memory, and memory never dies. The message ended all across the alien world. People sat in silence. Some wept, some prayed, some remembered. Inside the Vindicator, a light guided Varric and his team to the command bridge. There, in the captain's chair, they found something impossible. A second pod, another subject, eyes closed, breathing slow and steady. Rillen stepped back. There's another one. Kodak. Read the screen. Subject 14. Awaiting activation. Admiral Core was silent. Core was silent. His face pale, his eyes wet. They said he wasn't the last. He whispered. The science officer nodded slowly. There could be more. Hidden ships. Hidden memories waiting. Core looked at the stars. Then this isn't the end. He said no, replied the officer. It's only the beginning of remembering. Outside, the Vindicator slowly turned away from the planet. It didn't attack, it simply left, but the message had. It's been delivered, in every heart on the alien. Homeworld would carry it forever. The Vindicator drifted through deep space, silent as a shadow. Inside, Subject 13 was gone, but Subject 14 was starting to wake. Lights around the pod blinked softly. The screen above showed vitals normal, breath detected. Captain Varric stood in front of the pod with Rillen and the other surviving aliens. We should leave, said one crew member. We saw what the first one did. Rylan shook his head. No, we need to know if he's the same or different. Varric frowned. What if he's worse? The screen flashed again, memories loading. Across the galaxy, the message. From Subject 13 still echoed. Every planet had received the images. Burning cities, screaming children, forgotten faces. It was like a psychic storm, a wave of guilt, regret, and truth. Some alien races dropped their weapons. Others prepared for war. The galaxy was splitting in a nearby system. Council of warlords gathered. We must strike now, said one, before more humans rise. Another disagreed, didn't attack. He could have destroyed our world, but he didn't. A third pounded the table. That's not mercy, that's warning. They sent a new fleet, hundreds of ships. Built for one task, destroy the Vindicator. Inside the ship, Subject 14 opened his eyes. They glowed a deeper blue than Subject 13's. He sat up, calm, like waking from a long dream. He looked at Varric and the others. Then he smiled. Back on the alien homeworld, protests began. Citizens demanded answers. Why did we start the war with humans? Why were we told they were dangerous? Why were their children targeted? Leaders tried to stay in power, but fear had turned to shame, and shame turned into anger, not at humans, at their own rulers. Meanwhile, the fleet arrived near. The Vindicator, they surrounded the ship. Cannons aimed. Fighters ready. On the command ship, General Keln gave the order. Target locked. Fire at will. Missiles launched, beams cut through space. The Vindicator didn't move. Inside, Subject 14 stood in the command. Bridgie raised one hand and breathed. The entire fleet stopped. Missiles froze in space. Mid-air beams curved around the Vindicator. Like space itself bent. Then, the attackers heard it. Voices, human voices, Not loud, not angry, just memories. Please don't shoot. My daughter is in there. We can help. We have medicine. Why are you doing this? We came in peace. One pilot screamed. Another dropped his controls and wept. Their ships began turning. On each other, not by force, by guilt. On the command ship, General Keln shouted, "Break formation!" Retreat. No one responded. His own ship powered down. All lights red. Then came the message. You were warned. Sighed the Vindicator. Subject 14 looked at Varric. I am not like him, he said. Varric nodded slowly. Then what are you? I'm the voice of the ones who never got to speak. Subject 14 replied. Back on the alien capital, civil war began. Some fought to protect the truth, others tried to erase it again, but it was too late. The memory had spread, and memory could not be killed. Subject 14 turned the Vindicator away from the ruined fleet. He whispered to the ship, "Find the next beacon." The ship responded, searching for Subject 15 deep in space. The Vindicator moved through darkness like a ghost. Inside, Subject 14 stood quietly on the bridge. A message flashed on the screen. New signal detected. Subject 15. Location. Unknown human outpost. Captain Varric and Rillen watched from the side, afraid to speak. Varric finally asked, "How many more are there?" Subject 14 looked up, eyes glowing. "Enough. Enough for what?" Rillen whispered. "To remind every world," he said, "what they tried to forget." Across the galaxy, chaos grew. Some alien empires collapsed under the weight of truth. Others begged for peace. Few prepared to fight to the bitter end. The memory of Earth, its beauty and destruction had changed everything. Leaders fell, alliances broke, and in the shadows, more human ships began to awaken. On a distant, forgotten moon, buried under stone, a second human outpost powered up. The ice cracked. Dust lifted, and a hand reached out from beneath. Subject-15 had awakened. Meanwhile, back on the alien capital, survivors walked among ruined streets. Holograms played in the sky, images of Earth's forests. Oceans, children laughing. The voice of Subject 13 echoed softly. We did not come to conquer. We came to dream. You answered with fire. Now you live with what you tried to erase. A small alien girl stood on a rooftop holding a human toy bear. She looked up at the stars. Her mother asked, "What are you looking for?" Girl smiled. The man who breathes. In the heart of the Vindicator, Subject 14 stood before a final locked door. It hadn't opened in decades. The ship spoke. Final memory vault. Ready. He placed his hand on it. The door opened slowly. Inside was a quiet room, a single chair, and on the wall a projection began to play. It showed the last day on Earth. Humans standing on a mountaintop. Looking at the stars, they weren't crying. They weren't angry. They were proud. Even if we die, one man said, we leave behind what matters. Our truth, our story, our breath, then silence. Subject 14 sat in the chair. He closed his eyes and breathed. Across the galaxy screens flickered. Every planet, every station, every home, one message appeared. When he breathes again, remember what you did. When he breathes again, remember who we were. Back on the alien home world, Admiral Cornell, stripped of his title, walked alone. He looked at the sky. A single human ship passed quietly overhead, no weapons. No attack, just presence. He dropped to his knees and whispered, "We were wrong." The legend began to spread, of humans who no longer needed weapons, who didn't fire missiles, who didn't shout threats. They just breathed and made galaxies remember. The final scene, a quiet starfield. Dozens of human ships drifting in the dark, pods glowing, eyes opening, breaths rising, not for revenge, but for truth.